the New Jerusalem. Yes, there's a Jerusalem now in Israel. And there's going to be a renewed Jerusalem, exact same place, in the kingdom of God for 1,000 years. It will be renewed, made better than it is now, and it'll be set up there for Jesus's kingdom reign on earth. But then there's another Jerusalem coming. It's called the New Jerusalem. And I'd like to talk to you about the author of this book, Revelation 21. The disciple John, the youngest of them all, lived a full life and died in old age. Got all these amazing revelations from God. Got to see in these visions the things to come. And he wrote them down just like he was told to do. But the fun thing for me about him is he could see himself in these visions that we have recorded in the book of Revelation. He is one of the 12 disciples in the book of Revelation. He sees himself. And in several places, when the church is gathered together, so many places within the book. But he got to see himself in these visions while he was still alive, for a time way in the future yet to come. Isn't that neat? I wonder what he thought about it. John was a disciple. John was a cousin of Jesus's. John was one of the disciples that ran speedily to the tomb when he'd heard the body of the Lord was missing. He took off running. John's also the one who lived to old age, and he went to prison on the island of Patmos, and there he wrote the book of Revelation. But he also wrote the book called by his name, John. I'd like to quote to you from John 14. This is the Lord speaking to his disciples. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go and prepare a place for you. And if I go, I will come again and receive you to myself. So Jesus is telling him he's leaving and he's going to prepare a place for them. Well, let's move over to Revelation 21. And here's John having these visions that he was given by God. And John speaks at the beginning of chapter 21, and he says, Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no more sea. You know, our physical body, soul, and spirit are going to die. Maybe not all of us. Some of us might leave whole and intact in the rapture. But most people die and their bodies are dead. But the body, soul, and the spirit all comes back at the resurrection of the dead, whenever the right time for you it would be. And so it is then made into a glorified body if you are a follower and safe with the Lord. So John's saying here, he sees that like us, the heavens and the earth are also going to be made new. Very interesting. And then in his vision, he goes on to say, he says, I saw the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride for her husband. A bride gets all pretty, doesn't she, before the wedding? Beautiful dress, everything. So John sees the city, and the way he's saying it there, it's not a bride, but it's a city, and it's beautiful. It's glorious. And this city is what the Lord has prepared. He says, I go to prepare a place. He's gone to prepare this city, New Jerusalem, that's waiting now in heaven for the time when it will descend to earth. And I heard a loud voice. He's still in his vision, and he hears a loud voice from heaven saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men." So it's an announcement that God, the wholeness of who God is going to dwell with mankind. Is it going to be in heaven? He's coming to earth. Heaven on earth is an old saying. Heaven is going to be moved, at least as part of it, to earth. The tabernacle of God that's in heaven now, the temple that's in heaven now. Actually, there's no temple in this New Jerusalem, but whatever God's dwelling place is in heaven is going to be removed within this city that's coming down. And it's interesting that right here is where we've talked about it much through Christianity, about God wiping away every tear from your eyes. This is when it is. It's at the end of the millennium, beginning of eternity, that far off in the future. And at that time, we won't be remembering the past. Interesting thing to think about. Will the hurts and pains that we've carried, will our loved ones that are separated from, or if you've never had any loved ones, or whatever your situation is, all of that will be forgotten when this new comes. And that's when he wipes away every tear from our eyes. Now here is a famous quote that John quotes. "Behold, I make all things new." God, John is quoting God. "Behold, I make all things new," recreating everything. And then God tells him to write these things down, and that's what John did. Verse 6, "I am the Alpha and the Omega," and I love to say it in the Hebrew. "I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. I will give you of the foundation. I will give of the fountain of water of life freely to him who is thirsty." Living waters, life everlasting, same thing. I will give it to him who is thirsty. Are you thirsty? Do you need a drink of the Spirit? Yeah. Interesting. I'm going to go on now, and John sees the walls that will surround this city, this magnificent city. And the walls are pretty fascinating. You know, Jerusalem today, in the old city, it is all walled. And I don't know what it is about those walls. I know who made them, Suleiman the Magnificent, but he took the stones that were there from the first temple and rebuilt the walls with the same stone. They just move you without any understanding. They're just so precious to me. But there's going to be new wall surrounding this new city. And this city is really, really large. It's 1,380 square miles. 1,000 miles. You think of that on the map of Israel today. That goes all the way down into the land of Havilah, the land of Cush, the Garden of Eden measurements. It goes all the way out to the Euphrates, or up to Lebanon. So the city's going to be completely square. But the walls around it are what I'd like to read about. The foundations of the walls have the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb, it says in verse 14. The names of the apostles of the Lamb. Y'all know who the Lamb is, right? Yep. Jesus Yeshua. Son of God, the authority of God, and he is God. Yeah. I want to throw in this little thought here. Who is the 12th apostle? Is it Mattathias that was chosen by lots? Or could it be Paul, who said he was an apostle chosen out of time? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Because you know Judas was No, he was let out. Judas is not one any longer. Okay, these interesting walls, they're 216 feet high. And the foundation is 12 layers up of different colored, gorgeous stone. I'll just read you a few of them here. I don't even know what some of them are. Chrysoprase, topaz, beryl, chrysolite, amethyst, jasper, sapphire, emerald, chalcedony. I don't even know what some of them are. These magnificent heavenly stones are going to be the foundation for this wall around the city. Layered up like that. 12. There's the 12 again. The 12 apostles. The 12 sons of Jacob. 12. And then the gates of the city are pearls. Can you visualize this in your mind a little bit? See what this is going to be like? These are just the walls. Pearls. And the streets of the city now, back to the city rather than the gate, the wall around it. The city was pure gold, like transparent glass. The streets of the city were pure gold. A number of years ago, my family and I went down to University of Arizona to see a gem display on the campus. And I looked around, and our friends were with us. They spent longer than I was interested in. So I was just kind of wandering around in the back of the building, looking around. And I read this sign underneath the stone, and it said, crystal. Well, crystal doesn't mean crystal, but clear, transparent gold. And I looked at this little rock there, and I thought, that's what the streets of the city are going to be made out of. You can see through it. I've got a gold ring. I know what gold looks like, but this was transparent. You could see through it. I didn't even know there was anything on earth like that. And I'm sure what I saw is nothing compared to what these heavenly goldstone streets are going to be like. Crystal clear, meaning clear, transparent. As the Lord comes back with his city, it says here, I'll just read it. It's easier that way. But I saw no temple in it. This is the glory of the New Jerusalem in verse 22. I saw no temple in it, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. The city has no need for sun or the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God illuminates it. And the Lamb is its light. What did he say? I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. And now we see him here in this vision that John has for the future, for eternity. He is the light. Everything he said is coming to be. Everything he said. I'm the resurrection. I am the good shepherd. All these I ams that he said are going to come to pass. Wow. It closes up here in this chapter, and it says that only those who can enter into eternity have their names written in the Lamb's book of life. Once again, the writing, God puts our names either in the earth or in the heavens in this book of the Lamb's book of life. There's so many things that teach us that it's important to be on the Lord's side. You don't want to miss this city. It's gorgeous, but you know what? It just in its beauty, that John's just looking at it with his eye in this vision and seeing its beauty. But can you imagine the glory of God that dwells all over it? What are we going to do in the city? We're going to live there. What's going to happen? Eternity is full of unknowns. All I know is I don't want to miss it. How about you? You don't want to miss it. This beautiful New Jerusalem, which isn't heaven, but is sitting in heaven right now, and one day will descend to earth on the new heaven and the new earth. That God's going to take the old and make it new. God's going to take our old and make us new. And then eternity begins. Wow. It takes a lot of faith to believe these things, doesn't it? It's hard to imagine. A time when there'll be no sun and moon, because the Lord himself will be the light. I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. We all want the light of life, whether we know it or not. We all want it, and we all need it. God bless you today.